The door of the biker bar slammed open so hard it rattled the neon lights, and in that instant, every laugh, every clink of glass, every growl of engines outside died. A little girl stood in the doorway, barely 6 or 7 years old, shaking from head to toe, her shoes soaked, her cheeks streaked with dirt and tears. She clutched a pink backpack to her chest like it was the only thing keeping her alive. Her eyes didn't search for beer or music or danger. They searched for safety. And in a place the world had taught her to fear, she ran straight into it, begging for help without even knowing if anyone would care. If you believe that kindness can come from the most unexpected places, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that second chances and compassion are still alive in this world. The biker bar was known around town as a rough place, filled with leather vests, scarred knuckles, and men who had lived hard lives. These were people society crossed the street to avoid, men who carried pasts heavier than their bikes. But when they saw that little girl standing there, soaked and trembling, something ancient and protective stirred in them. The laughter didn't slowly fade, it vanished instantly, replaced by a heavy silence that pressed against every wall. No one moved at first, not because they didn't care, but because they were afraid of frightening her more. She took a few small steps inside, her legs wobbling, as if she had already run farther than her body could handle. She had been running for hours, through alleys and rain-soaked streets, past shouting voices and slamming doors. Her home was no longer safe, though she was too young to fully understand why. All she knew was that her mother had told her to run and never look back, shoving the pink backpack into her hands with a desperation that still echoed in the girl's chest. The backpack was too heavy for her small frame, but she never let it go. Not once. Because inside it was everything her mother had trusted her to protect. The bikers slowly realized she wasn't lost, she was escaping. Her arms were scratched, her knees bruised, and fear clung to her like a second skin. One of the older men, his beard gray and his hands permanently stained with oil, gently draped his jacket over her shoulders. Another quietly locked the door behind her, not to trap her, but to keep the outside world from following her in. For the first time that night, the girl stopped shaking, just a little. When they finally knelt to her level and carefully took the pink backpack, they expected crayons, toys, maybe a stuffed animal. What they found instead changed every life in that room forever. Inside were crumpled hospital papers, a bottle of medication with her mother's name on it, a folded photograph of the girl and her mom smiling despite tired eyes, and a sealed envelope marked with shaking handwriting that said only one thing: "Please help my daughter." There was also a small wad of cash, clearly scraped together over time, and a worn teddy bear tucked at the bottom like a silent guardian. The truth unfolded without words. Her mother had been sick, trapped, and running out of options. She had chosen the one place she believed would protect her child at all costs, a place where people understood loyalty, survival, and family better than most. The bikers didn't see a burden in that backpack. They saw trust. And that terrified and humbled them all at once. The challenges came fast and heavy. Authorities had to be called, but carefully. The girl flinched at the sound of sirens outside, curling into herself as if expecting to be taken away. Some of the men carried their own scars from the system, from being judged before being understood, and they refused to let that happen to her. They stayed by her side, offering food, dry clothes borrowed from someone's granddaughter, and a quiet presence that spoke louder than promises. As the night stretched on, the bar transformed. The harsh lights dimmed. The smell of smoke faded beneath the warmth of shared purpose. The girl fell asleep on a patched leather couch, still clutching the teddy bear from her backpack, her face finally peaceful. Around her, men who had once believed they were beyond redemption stood watch like silent sentinels, realizing that saving her was also saving something broken inside themselves. In the days that followed, the story spread through town. Not as gossip, but as a quiet awakening. The biker club worked with social services, ensuring the girl was placed somewhere safe, some were filled with care instead of fear. One of the members' sisters became her temporary guardian. Another set up a fund for her education using the same hands that once only knew engines and fists. The pink backpack stayed with her, no longer a symbol of escape, but of survival. The greatest change, however, wasn't in the girl alone. It was in the men who had opened that door. They began volunteering, protecting others who had nowhere else to go, using their reputation not to intimidate, but to shield the vulnerable. The little girl visited sometimes, older now, stronger, smiling without fear. She called them her uncles, and every time she walked into that bar, heads lifted with pride instead of suspicion. Just before this story ends, I want to ask you something special. Please comment the word hope below if you believe that even the darkest places can become safe havens, and that love can rise where no one expects it. By the time the girl grew old enough to understand what had happened, she knew one thing for certain. When the world had been cruel and unforgiving, she ran into a place she was taught to fear, and found family instead. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that humanity still exists in unexpected corners, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your engagement helps stories of compassion travel farther, reaching hearts that need them most.